coming to you from the home of the mini trees, inspirational, motivational, so come along with us.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Pixel Talk. This week's edition brings you an interview with Mr. Kevin Bandy, a Senior Vice President and Chief Digital Officer at Cisco. Claire Langdon's review of The High Line Park in New York City, book recommendations by Aditi Patel, and Peyton Robertson's interview of Professor Naganer.
Hello, my name is Tej Singh and I'm broadcasting from New Jersey on behalf of Stanford Online High School students from around the globe. So, hello world. With us here today is Mr. Kevin Bandy, the Senior Vice President and Chief Digital Officer at Cisco. Glad to have you here.
I appreciate you taking some time to talk to us.
So, in fact, I was reading the news just today, and it looks like Cisco is developing a 5G router. It was pretty interesting how this topic has exploded in the news in the past week. I think Verizon was saying how they're testing a 5G network, and Mark Zuckerberg today announced that I think the telecom infra project and how it'll be great for virtual reality, and they're experimenting with it. So, how do you see Cisco playing into this, and what other opportunities does this network open up for you guys?
Well, you know, when you look at Cisco today, 80% of the world's network traffic actually runs across Cisco. So when you think about the conversation you and I are having right now, or past conversations that you've had with people, it's largely driven by Cisco. So a great deal of the mobility calls, the internet calls, the video calls, television, a lot of that is empowered by what Cisco provides. A lot of people don't recognize it, but think about 80% of the world's traffic. And you'll see us actually talk about the Internet of Things. Certainly your generation is more adept to operate with a handheld device, which is really sort of like think about it as, you know, it is our life, if you think about it. So you'll think about fixed and mobile networks really driving the reimagination of any job that you may have in the future. And that's what you really see is the advancements of technology around 5G is going to continue to push just that work will have no boundaries, nor will play.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting interesting also how most people don't necessarily hear of Cisco day-to-day life, just like a business-to-business company, and it has a background. So is Cisco looking at anything today that consumers can be excited about, or just in general what the field is going to, anything related to routers? I heard you guys were experimenting with the Internet of Things.
So when you think about, well, I'm going to go back and say it's from a consumer perspective, yes, most of the businesses are who are our largest customers. But when you look at the largest financial institutions, they're our customers. Every major telephone or telecommunications company is our customer. So all these services that you're seeing as a consumer, think about 80% of that connected traffic around mobile banking, for you to do Pandora, or for you to do Snapchat, or any application that you see out there running, an underpinning of that network really is Cisco. So even though we don't touch the consumers directly, we enable a great deal of that flexibility that people are experiencing in today's mobile world.
Yeah, it really shows how powerful the company is. So now that we got those questions over with, let's move to the fun segment. Everyone likes this. So what did you do in high school? Any interesting stories that you know that you had that can motivate the current generation to work hard, since that's mainly your audience is? Storytime always gives us more viewership.
I would tell you that I probably eliminated the notion of politics early in my high school career, so I'll just be honest and candid about that. But you know, I was not into computers, honestly, growing up. I was a very athletic. I played 3 sports all year round. But I would tell you what I really admired is that technology at an early age. The first computer I ever had was a Commodore 64. And I certainly appreciate just then in those early stages that computers was going to redefine work. And so when I graduated university, I knew that was what I was going to get into. But I certainly had a very active high school career, not on the technology side, but just more on the athletic side.
So what sports did you
I was the quarterback, I wrestled, and I played baseball.
Well, pretty diverse sports. So now, lots of kids, especially, they lack the motivation to see what exciting things can happen if you really work hard. What are some perks of, let's say, of your job that kids my age can look forward to if they study hard? Do you get to fly in a private jet, or any interesting things by working at Cisco, or even at that executive level?
Here's no, I don't fly on a private jet, so I still look for that perk. So if I can find it, I'll be glad to circle back to you on that one. I tell you, the thing that I find the most fascinating, and I've traveled through 97 countries in my professional career, and I've been to many of them many times. And I will tell you, the thing that I found the most rewarding was when I was about 35 years old, I recognized that learning from the different lifestyles and the different cultures, I became a much more balanced, not only person, but a better professional. And that's something that I would encourage everybody to actually achieve in their lifetime. And I hope that you all get to have that life, because the world is very small. And I think you will experience that faster than my generation has.
Yeah, well said. I think your perk then is frequent flyer miles. So moving on to our lighthearted segment. If you could spend a day with any person living today, who would it be?
I would have to say my father. So it's I was fortunate enough that I never had to look far for my role model, either on my father or for my mother. Both of them were spectacular role models. I'll tell you something I live by and have benefited from business every single day. As my mother used to say, the smartest person in the room may not be talking, so you better be quiet and listen. And I think that is something that a lot of people need to apply better in their lifetime, is actually pausing and really taking into account what people are saying and what they're not saying.
Yeah, great words of advice. I remember Chris Caposello, the Chief Marketing Officer of Microsoft, we interviewed him, and he said the best thing about Bill Gates is we asked him the questions that he says he realizes other people, might know more than him, and I think that's what makes a great leader. And obviously your parents put you on a great path, to success. That's why you're here today. So what's the most exciting thing on your bucket list? Something you'd like to do before you die? Anything? You've already traveled so many places, I can't imagine really to travel.
I'm not in any hurry to die, so let's be clear about that. So I'll knock on wood there. I would tell you the thing that I've got it slated is I plan to I have 4 boys, 13, 11, 7, and 5, and I'll be taking them on a safari next summer. So I think that's something I can't wait for them to see that kind of experience. I want to witness the excitement in their eyes. So that's always been on my bucket list ever since I had my very first son.
Well, that's great. So now it's a tradition of Pixel Talk to end these interviews with a short segment we call 10 questions. And so most of them are this or that, but some of them are open-ended. So you try to answer them as in probably 1 word or at least 2 words, not anything longer. So do you want to participate?
Why would I run from this challenge? Come on, let's do it.
So would you listen to, or would you rather Taylor Swift or Kanye?
I'll go Swift.
If you could be CEO of any company other than Cisco,
Boeing.
Why?
Pushes the boundaries of what we will see in this lifetime. To stretch beyond and to have a different vantage point on Earth, I think that's something very few people will see.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting how Virgin Galactic, I think that's pretty cool also. Maybe that's the biggest people going to space. So this is one of the questions prepared in advance, but I think you might have answered. It's really hard for you to answer, but 3 places you want to visit?
I went on my honeymoon to the Greek islands. I would always go back to that. The people of Sydney are phenomenal. And when you get down into the mountains of Argentina, it's just lovely.
Interesting. So, would you rather have 1 wish granted today or 3 in 10 years?
3 in 10 years.
Would you rather be able to stop time or fly?
Fly.
Online shopping or shopping in a store?
No time to shop in a store.
Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter.
NFL or NBA?
NFL.
Early bird or night owl?
I sleep 3 hours a day.
Wow. I nap 3 hours. I'm just kidding. And in addition to sleeping, Would you rather be able to read everyone's mind all the time or know their future?
I do read their mind all the time.
Interesting response. So, Thank you. So this brings us to the end of Pixel Talk. We'd like to thank Mr. Bandy for graciously sparing his time and inspiring not only the Stanford OHS community, but youth around the country and maybe around the world. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Claire Langdon, and today I'm at the High Line to explore the unique history of this park. The park is situated on the West Side Line, an old train track reimagined into an upbeat park dedicated to providing a lush green space for residents and tourists alike. As a break from the chaotic New York City atmosphere. The area underneath and surrounding the High Line is laden with unique restaurants, attractions, art, and architecture. The goal of the High Line, as provided on its website, is to, quote, engage the vibrant and diverse community on and around the High Line. We can definitely see this throughout the park. My trip included artists, musicians, and individuals, all of whom contributed to the vast melting pot of New York's High Line community. The High Line is a great destination in New York City to have cultural experience as well as exposure to superior art. Thanks for watching!
Hi guys, today I'm going to give some book recommendations, and all the books I'm going to be naming are young adult books, and they're all fiction. So the first genre is fantasy. The number one book I would recommend in the fantasy genre is Legend series by Mary Lou. And other books that I would recommend include Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, The Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin, Graceling by Kristen Cashore, and Divergent by Veronica Roth. In science fiction, the number one book that I recommend is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. And other books I recommend are Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes, The Giver by Lewis Lowry, and The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick. Next, in romance, the number one book I would recommend is Looking for Alaska by John Green. And other books I recommend are The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen, If I Stay by Gail Forman, Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli, and The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot. And lastly, a sort of fusion between romance and fantasy would be Uglies by Scott Westerfield, The Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead, and Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, we're here with Professor Nadonner, Spanish instructor at OHS. Thank you so much for doing this.
Por supuesto, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So you speak not only English and Spanish, but also French, Italian, and other languages as well, I believe. And what makes you so passionate about language learning?
I've always been passionate since I was little. My family's from Poland and speaks Polish and Russian. When I was little, I lived in Canada, and I went to a bilingual French-English preschool, and I was exposed at an early age, and our close family friends are from Venezuela, so I always heard Spanish, music in Spanish, and they also played a lot of music in Portuguese, and so I kind of just grew an affinity over the years, just being exposed to so many languages at a young age.
Wow, that's amazing. And also, you did some research in computer-assisted second language learning and teaching. What exactly did you learn through this research, and how has it impacted your teaching style now?
So throughout graduate school and also when I was an undergrad, I worked for a professor at UC Santa Cruz who did topic-oriented, content-based Spanish teaching, and she really was an inspiration to me. With her, we did some research on implicit vocabulary acquisition, looking at how students acquire vocabulary when they're not being taught explicitly. And then recently at the OHS, I've been focusing on computer-assisted language learning. We did an action research study with 2 students at the OHS, Grace Sewell and Jasmine Singh, and we looked at the implications of second language Spanish high school student design feedback for computer-assisted language learning, but focused on text chat, the utility of text chat. So looking at how students use text chat in the online synchronous classroom in Adobe second language action, and be facilitating this text chat, what's being done there, if students have a preference for writing versus speaking, what the correlation is. It's been very interesting. We were able to present our research at the CAL meeting, the European Association for Computer Assisted Language Learning, in Italy last summer, and we're currently working on a paper for publication.
Thanks for watching. Till then.